Hi guys, Karen here. Today I'm scrapbooking this photograph of a lovely lady who I will talk to about a little bit more later on. But I'm basing it on a couple of challenges from International Scrapbooking Weekend. This is a challenge from the bingo challenge from Mercy Tiara's group, and I've chosen the central column where I'm going to be using flare wood buttons or flat back brads, do some fussy cutting, use florals and make it shimmer and shine. They were the challenges, and the UK group challenged us to use our scraps, which I've got there, and this is what I plan to use for my fussy cutting, but I actually only used the smaller piece because that's a scrap. I realised that the other piece, the colours weren't right, and it wasn't a scrap, so I couldn't use it. And these are my floral punches that I'm going to use to make my flowers. So I've started off by drawing a letter S, which you can't really see because I just wanted a light outline of the letter S, because this lady is called Sandra, and this layout is all about her. She is the mother of the two girls in my cousin's layout that I did previously. So she's also my cousin, but she's their mother, and she was my mum's cousin. And she was the lady that we stayed with when we had our holiday in Canada last year. So I started off by taking this letter S, and to make it shimmer and shine as per the bingo challenge, I'm using some Heidi Swap Colour Shine in teal, just to give a little shiny background to the florals, because the florals will follow the line of the S. So that's the make it shimmer and shine requirement for the bingo challenge. And now I'm starting to punch out some flowers with my various punches. There'll be some slightly larger ones, and I should be layering up with smaller ones. So the colours I've picked out are all the colours that are in Sandra's dress, all these purples and teals and gorgeous colours, which I've now punched a load out, and I picked out some pearls and sparklies and some brads that will all be used for the centres of these flowers, because I should just layer them up, just two or three layers to make up the flowers, to give them a bit of dimension. So I'm just laying them all out there. You can see all the lovely colours. And then I've just laid them on like a little foam pad that I've got there, and I'm just trying to give them a bit of dimension with an embossing tool. And now I'm layering them up. I'll either be punching a hole in them and using brads to hold them together, or some of them will be just stuck together with a pearl or a diamante in the middle. So they're all varied. They've all got little centres in them. And that's what I'm just doing now. So these are layering up smaller ones onto the larger ones, and some have just got two small ones layered together in two different colours. So this takes quite a while to layer these all up. As you can see, there's quite a pile there. I end up with far more than I needed in the end. And there they are, all in a little bowl there, ready to go. And then I've taken this sheet. It's from an really old pad by Colour Book. And it's got all papers with beautiful purples and teals and these greens. So I've just taken a scrap out of that with some of these quite small flowers that I'm fussy cutting, as that's also one of the requirements for the bingo challenge. Cutting out the flowers and the leaves, and the leaves will be useful because I'll be able to dot them around the S after I've laid down the flowers. And I've just picked out a couple of sheets of purple and lilac paper to back the photograph with, which you see I've just done there. And now I'm starting to do the fun part. Now I'm laying out the flowers, and this was just a lovely thing to do. Really good fun, just laying them all out. I've taken the larger flowers first, so giving them the sort of backbone of the S, leaving that space in the curve at the front there where the photograph's going to go. So some of them are the fussy cut flowers, which I've laid out, and then in between some of the larger ones of the flowers that I've punched. They're not huge, but they are slightly bigger than the others, and the others will then be tucked in between to gradually build up the layers of flowers. So there'll be quite a lot of dimension to the S by the time I finish. So I'm just sticking them down first, just the first layer of the larger, slightly larger flowers. Just using now what's this? This is the Scotch glue that everybody uses, that I've got in my fine line bottle. So it's got quite a good grab, because some of those flowers have got a a brad through it, but I haven't put the brad through the paper, so the glue is having to stick the brad to the paper, and it's worked pretty well. There's not been any problems with any of them falling off. You just have to give it a few minutes to adhere. But even with using the glue on the metal of the backing of the brads, that seems to work pretty well. So now the larger flowers are all stuck down, so you've got the outline of the S shape there, and now I'm picking out all the little smaller flowers and just tucking them in between to build up the layers and build up the dimension. And although nearly all the colours are in shades of teal and purple and lilac, I did do 3 little yellow ones there, which just lift the whole thing. There is a little touches of yellow in Sandra's dress in the photograph, and these 3 little yellow flowers just pick that out, and I think give a lift to the whole layout, really. Just picking out that bit of yellow just brightens it all up. And so these are nearly there. I've nearly got all the flowers tucked in there and stuck down. I think it's one of those things you could keep going all day and end up with an enormous quantity of flowers on that page, but I almost used them all up. I think I've got 1 or 2 left, but I tried to make sure nearly all of them went on the layout. And I think that looks really lovely. I love the way this is turning out. And I'm going to so I'll put a little foam on the back of the photograph, give it a bit of lift, and then I've just got those last few die cuts, or the couple of flowers that I cut out that I didn't use on the S shape, that I kept back, to put a little cluster in the corner there by the photograph. And then there's a whole pile of leaves that will also need to be just tucked in amongst the flowers. So I'm just tucking 1 leaf there with those 2 die cut flowers there, not die cut, fussy cut flowers. And then all the leaves are now going to be tucked into the flowers around the shape. And there we are, they're all there, all around the S. And I think then I wanted to add a little bit more sparkle and shine. So I had a pot of purple, various shades of purple sequins there. So they're all just going to be stuck all around the shape, dotted around by the flowers to give a little extra sparkle to the page. And put a couple in the centres of those fuzzy cut flowers, because they're a little flat looking. So I put a couple of sequins in the centres there, and then the rest of the sequins are just all dotted around the page. I just love those. There we are, they're all stuck down. And now I've got to pick out a couple of brads. That's from the Bingo Challenge, using flare, wood buttons or flat back brads. So these are a couple of flat back brads. I can't say it. It's I think I've had too many wine gums. And they're both from Simple Stories. One is from Posh and the other one is from the Fancy Collection. And that's one flare that I found in my stash, and that just says Shine. And she was a lovely lady. She made us so welcome into her home. We stayed with her for the 6 days we were in Ottawa, where she lives, and both her daughters live. And she couldn't have been more welcoming, and that's pretty much what I will say in my journaling shortly. So my title is going to be Thank You, because we couldn't have had a nicer time with her. She made us so very welcome. The whole family did. We had lots of family meals. They really laid out the red carpet for us, and it was wonderful. So I've decided that this rather seemed an apt title to use for this layout, just to say simply thank you, Sandra. So I used my pro markers, a pro marker there to colour the words. The pro markers work really well on these letters. They're sort of the white foam letters that I think we had in a previous hip kit. I can't remember what the make of them is. Sorry about that. I'm sure everybody's seen them before, but I can't remember off the top of my head who made them. But they've got some lovely phrases on them, and this was one of them. Just thank you. And then I wanted to put the word Sandra in as well. So I've got the S. So I'm now looking for some letters to use to complete the word Sandra. I just thought I'd put it there next to the bottom of the S to make up the word. Those lilac glittery letters were just a little bit too heavy, I felt, in that place. So I looked for some others, tried a few different ones, but I've ended up choosing these HipKit exclusive puffy alphas in a lovely shade of teal. They've got a slight shine to them. They're really pretty. So, and I thought they weren't quite as bold as some of the others, and I wanted the thank you really to stand out as, more than anything. So I popped those there, and actually on that sheet there was also lots of little puffy hearts. So I will be just picking out a few of those and dotting them around as well. There's a couple of hearts there, and just to popped a few around my flowers just as an extra little embellishment. They were really cute. And yeah, last one I think is there. And now I'm going to do my journaling. So I'm just going to pop that into that little space there. And really my journaling is just talking about, staying with Sandra while we were in Ottawa, and how very welcoming she was, and that she really put herself out to make us feel at home. And it made our stay in Ottawa really special. There we are. So that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you will be, if you like this layout, that you will subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Thanks very much for joining me. Bye for now.